Good afternoon. My name's Lori and I'm an addict. This workshop topic is being trustworthy and honest with myself and others. Please keep in mind our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need to always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. If anyone here represents a media agency, please contact Kathy. The members of North Central Indiana area of Narcotics Anonymous welcomes you to the 6th annual We Grow with Love convention. We would like to thank you for joining with us in the celebration of recovery. We are deeply grateful to the Narcotics Anonymous and find great joys in being able to express our gratitude here with you, our family. In Narcotics Anonymous, we are certain that when we come together to share our lives and our love with each other, a miracle happens. Our recovery takes hard work, courage, and commitment. Those are the things that carry us through as we seek the spiritual growth that comes from working the 12 steps. Never alone, we do this together and for each other, knowing that we need each other because more than anything else, we grow with love. The preface to the basic text begins, "The fruit of the labor of love lives in the harvest, and that always comes in its right season. For us, our season has come." Could I have someone please read the Just for Today? We don't have a book? Okay, we'll skip that. I'd like to introduce our workshop speaker. I don't know anything about him. I just met him minutes ago. My apologies. His name's Robert.
I'm Robert. I'm a grateful recovering addict.
Hey, Robert.
Welcome, family. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Can we have another moment of silence followed by the We Virgin of Serenity prayer? God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference just for today. Also, can we stand up and give each other a great big NA hug? Please, hug each other. Thank you. Some of you just hugged each other for the first time. Take your time and maybe get to know the person you hugged, later on in the day. And pick their brain and let them pick yours. That's one of the things I try to do when I come to conventions and retreats. The name of this topic is Trustworthy and Honest with Myself and Others. When I hear that, what I think about is being trustworthy to myself and honest with myself. I think about me and the program, because if I'm not honest and trustworthy with myself, with the program of Narcotics Anonymous, I can end up where I started from, and that's on the road of destruction, using on a continuous base, But today, I try to be honest with myself. I mean, in all areas, like far as, being honest with myself if I'm really working, towards the steps. Because I can fool myself with not, I say I'm writing and working on the steps. But I can get in the mode of not writing on the steps, lingering, procrastination, what they call it. And I does that a lot. And I need my sponsor to help give me that nudge and that push so I could pick up and continue writing on my steps. But I'll fool myself that I'm moving along all right, I'm writing or I'm reading the steps, and don't be honest with myself. And when I think about trustworthy, I think about sponsorship, because it's a hell of a thing to have a sponsor that you might go to and reveal yourself to, get naked and undress yourself, and then you hear it somewhere else around the tables, or in the meeting rooms. And that's critical to me because I am married in the program. I came to the program with my significant other, and I had to unload stuff around the tables, and I have said things to people that what I confided in telling somebody that got around, got around. And it's sad. And a lot of people around the program today is afraid to go to their home group and reveal themselves. And you have to. You have to dump that garbage within. That's how you get better, by sharing and expressing yourself. Yes, you got a sponsor that you can go to and reveal some things to, but also your sponsor might not be around all the time. They could be at a retreat while you're at home, and you might be going through something that you want to share and dump some stuff, and trustworthiness in another person is critical. As I said, I experienced sharing some of my deepest feelings. In my relationship at that time, we wasn't married, but we was dating, and my significant other had to go away to take care of the wreckage of her past, and I became a hoe in Narcotics Anonymous, running around. And then I decided that this is something that I'm going to have to dump and even get honest with my significant other. And she was like from Michigan to Georgia, that far away. And she knew. Through by the help of you people, she knew what was going on before I could reveal it. But it's one thing about it, through by the young ladies of the program helping me out, they told. And one of the things that saved me through by that was I was going to get honest at my time, and that hurt me. That hurt me. Being in the program, they said you can share anything, you can dump whatever you're feeling, what you say here, stay here. We say all of that. And then you share some of your stuff, and it can go miles and miles and miles. But today, I don't worry about that, because I will dump any and everything. Today, I take that risk, because I got a choice. I can bottle it up inside and hold on to it and explode, or I can get it up off of me and allow you to explode. I choose to let you explode today, because whatever I'm feeling, I'm going to get it out, and we carry that between us, that if she has something to share, she will go to her sponsor and share it and dump it, and that's trusting somebody, and getting honest, sharing exactly what's going on, and that's what I do today. I share exactly what's going on. If I'm trying to explain something to you, and I went in the store and I took something, I go and say exactly what it is. I went in the store, I walked in that store with the knowledge of what I was going to do. I went in and stole it, How can you help me? And I'm sure when I shared that with that someone, if they out to help me and there for my best interest, they'll help guide me on why I shouldn't do that, how not to do it again, and if so, direct me to somebody else who experienced that exact same thing. So today I totally get honest in any area. Another experience that I have went through recently, I was on my job. I've been there 3 years. I'm a maintenance man, and I'm in charge of 2 apartment complexes and 70 homes. I can go in any store and get anything. For the longest time, I was very dishonest in that job. Because I could go in and buy a toilet. I could buy 2 toilets. And I'm the boss. I'm the boss for this company. I handle their accounts. I would go in and I'd buy 2 toilets. One to go for the job, the other will go to my house. And I'll put it in the garage, put it in storage. When I would do a side job, I would turn around, go and get that toilet, charge the person for a toilet and my labor. Bam. I did this for the longest. The littlest thing caught up with me. I had some dirt delivered to one of the properties, and at the same time, I had a hole in my driveway that I said, drop some dirt right here. And it was $10 worth of dirt that I had the guy just drop right here at my house. Got caught up. The director found out because when they wrote the trip ticket, it had my house address and it had one of the property's address, and they brought it to my attention. And I got honest. I said, yes, I had $10 worth of dirt delivered, dropped right there. I said, I wasn't trying to rip you off, but period, I was ripping the company off. And I turned around and I told him I'll pay it back. And my immediate boss said, don't worry about it. But the director was bugging me about it. And I wasn't going to get terminated or anything like that. But us, we get offensive. And immediately I wrote a letter of resignation, carried it in there. How dare you question me? I've been here 3 years. You only been here 6 months. You're already giving all the staff headaches. I resigned, and I did resign as a couple months ago. I'm totally into my own business, but I took the wrong route to start my own business. Because honestly, I did something dishonest, And so today, I take a look at that. That was one of my character defects. Because in my field, I've always have handled big accounts, Now that I'm in my own business, remodeling and repairing, I still have to be careful, because I can get dishonest real easy. And people trust me in their homes to do the right thing. I can't go and get this lumber that supposed to get treated lumber and get non-treated lumber and do the job, and the project might only last 2 or 3 years, which it should hold up for 10 or 20 years. So I have to practice with being honest. And today I get on my knees and pray to my higher power on giving me the guidance to stay straight. Because any little things you do, you can best believe it'll build up. If you start off little, just like the drug. I just do this little thing, and it just continue until you're full blown doing the wrong thing. So today, I talk to myself, and I practice doing the next right thing. And I tell on myself quick. Just like now, I'm telling on myself, I'm dumping it, leaving it with you. Because I'm sure some of you is holding positions that people trust you. They look for your honesty, and they look for you to do the next right thing. And, it hurts. It hurts when you know in your heart that you done did something wrong. You feel uncomfortable, you know. And today I'm proud to say I try to take steps to do everything correct. You know, whether it's cussing, if I catch myself cussing, I try to bag up. And in my own mind, talking to my own higher power, I say, please excuse me, you know. And getting back on the subject of trustworthy, and I use sponsors as one of the critical things to be honest and trustworthy about. You know, it's real critical with each other, with us. Because just like out here, I might pull one of you to the side and talk to you about something that's going on with me. And when I share it with you, I expect for it to stay with you. I don't expect for it to go to flowing somewhere else. One of my sponsees talked to me recently and was hurting and revealed to me that something was wrong with him. And I felt the vibes, and I asked him, I said, are you affected with HIV? And that was it, you know. And I sat down and talked to him about it, but that don't mean I go to my wife and talk to her about him. Yes, that's my wife. You know, and I expect that whatever I say to her, I stay within our home. But that's not why he told me. He didn't tell me for me to tell my wife, you know. And I might talk to her about this person who I know have AIDS, this, that, and the other. And I have shared with people about this because I need guidance, but I don't say his name, you know. I don't say his name. If he wanted to be known, he'll go and share it with somebody. And I have to be careful of that, you know, because, I mean, I could tell Joe would go and tell his wife would go and reveal it to somebody else, and before you know it, somebody might be talking to him and don't know it's him. And say, you know, this guy, George, in the fellowship down there on the north side, he have AIDS. Do you know him? And that could be George. And it happens like that. It happens just like that, you know. So today, I try to be trustworthy with my sponsees, you know, and I reveal stuff to them, you know. But we know how we are, don't we? You know, we know how we are. You know, another part of trustworthy is the gossip tip. You know, the gossip tip. And it's so terrible around the program, you know. And I can raise my hand because I have experienced that. I have experienced gossiping about somebody, you know. And it's terrible, you know, because it'll start here. The old saying go, it'll start here that this person dropped a penny, and by the time it get to the back of the room, you dropped $100 bill. You know, that's the gossip tip. So today, I try to stand up to not gossip. If somebody come to me with some gossip, today I try to say, man, I don't want to hear that. You know. I said, take a look at yourself, brother. I says that today. Some of the men around my fellowship in my hometown, they get to calling me Mr. Clean or you him, Pat, or he don't carry the money. Go and talk to Sharita, his wife. She carries the money because she's the accountant in the family. Give me the money and we'll be broke before the week out. You know? So I have experienced that I'm not the person to handle the money. You know? And they talks about me because, as I said, I experienced being the hoe around the fellowship. you know. And I wasn't prejudiced. I had a black one, I had a white one, I had a Puerto Rican. I wasn't prejudiced, you know. And one of the things my wife asked me is, why did you mess with 3 young ladies? I said, that way I wouldn't fall for one. Stupid, huh? Justified, huh? You know. Well, we come up with all kind of stuff. But that's what I told her, you know. And but you know, by the grace of God, I got myself back because I turned that incident around. I told on myself. I don't do it and won't do it ever again. And now I stand up for it. If I'm talking with a couple more guys and they're married and they say, wow, check that lady out. I could do this or I could do that. Man, you married, man. Don't talk like that. You know. Think about your wife. What if your wife was somewhere saying the exact same thing you just said? How would you feel? I don't co-sign that no more. You know, if I'm married and I'm in a relationship, I honor that relationship. You know, I honor it. You know, I go back to thinking about when she asked me, why did I do it? Well, at that time, I was 41 at that time, I believe. You know, and I said, well, I didn't know if I still had it. You know. I mean, you come up with something to justify any situation you did. We made it through that storm. Today, we believe in each other. You know, today I'm honest with her. You know, today I try to be honest with everybody. Because if you're being honest with yourself, you can be honest with others. If you're trustworthy within yourself, you can be trustworthy with others. You know, and people can peep through you. You know, they can peep through you. I can feel if I can go and talk to this person, and they have my best interest in heart. You can feel that within. You know, and the program, all what I've been talking about, the program have instilled all of this in me. You know, and it's wonderful. And I'm sure y'all know my wife right here. You know, we done weathered a lot of storms, but through by this program, it gave me my life back. You know, I trust myself. You know, and I even have the strength to trust you today. I'm not afraid to tell you anything. You know. And I talked about it, you know, like you heard me talking about my relationship. You know, I'm not afraid. I don't keep that in. Because exactly what I told you I went through, I'm sure some of you have been through it. Or some of you might go through it. You know, the trustworthiness with a sponsor, I'm sure you have been through it. Or you just might end up going through it, you know. And so, I hope to hear some of them experiences. You know, I'm going to be closing in a couple minutes, and hopefully I believe Laura going to share a little bit, and then hopefully we'll have time where it can be open podium, and I can hear some of your experiences. I hope the things that I revealed to you, what I said here, stay here. You know, except for the tape, by the tape. But thank you for allowing me to share, and I hope to hear your hope, strength, and experience on this subject. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Robert.
Oh, I told them all about you.
My name's Lori and I'm an addict. I didn't really plan on sharing at this at all. But I picked to chair this because I really feel like being honest and trustworthy is like 99% of the program that I need to work today. When I was in active addiction, I wasn't trustworthy of anything. I couldn't be honest with you, I couldn't be honest with myself, I couldn't be honest with my children or my husband. Today it's about, no, I'm not 1,000% honest. I'm not God. I'm not going to be totally honest. And I keep rationalizing it by saying, well, gee, that's why we have the 8th and 9th step, because we're not totally honest. But I know that the place that I was, I'm celebrating 4 years in a couple of weeks, and the place that I was 4 years ago is a lot different than the place I'm at today. Today, I can look at people for their value, whether or not they're not being honest or whatever. I have to leave that with being their issues, and know that deep inside me I'm doing what I can and what I need to do to keep me clean. I've got something on my back that's really, I'm sort of disappointed my sponsor wasn't able to come. And there's a girl that's I see here every year since I've came here, and she's not here this year, at least so far. And I just went through, and I'm going through a real rough spot with being honest with myself as well as others. I work a second shift job, and I bet you I haven't been to a dozen meetings in the last 4 to 6 months. It bothers me, and it bothered me a long time. Position came available on 3rd shift at work, so I put in for it. Never work 3rd shift. Scared to death that I'm going to fail. And I know that part of that's old tapes, and other part is never working it. And I keep looking at the positives. That is, I'll be able to see my children. I'll be able to see my husband. I'll be able to do the things that I couldn't do, and most of all, I'll be able to hit meetings at night. We do have morning meetings. I'm from South Bend. We do have morning meetings, but it's like when you work second shift, you sleep till 11 in the morning, and the meetings end at 11:30. You don't get to them. So I just been in this position where I really needed to get this out so that I could hear myself say it and say, I need to hit meetings. I can't do this alone. I read something when I got here that said we never have to do this alone again. And I just keep thinking of this. And it's brought me back to the basics of the program. And I think it's just wonderful that even when we stray away from what the steps teach us, the steps are still there. They're still going to remind us of who we are and where we came from and what we need to do again. So it's really been a blessing. I don't know how my husband and my children have tolerated me. Because I really haven't been able to tolerate myself. That just goes to show that even with 4 years clean, you ain't going to get cured. And 1 or 2 meetings a week or 1 or 2 meetings a month just ain't going to work, or even every other week. Not when you're used to 5 and 6 meetings a week. Being trustworthy, I'm very trustworthy to other people, but I'm not trustworthy to myself. I still condemn myself inside. I still feel less than inside. And I think that giving time when I get back into things, I think that I'll be able to be trustworthy with myself. I'm sort of backwards. I need to be trustworthy with you to show you that I can be trustworthy, or to show me that I can be trustworthy to you. And then I can learn it right here. I'm hardcore. I don't do things the easy way. I just don't. And my husband once told me when I do things, I give it my all. So that includes when I mess up. I mess up big time. The only thing I haven't done was go back out and use. I got all paranoid about 3 months ago because I took a Motrin 45 minutes before I was supposed to. I called my sponsor and I said, oh God. And I got her up. She said, no you didn't. Did you hurt? Did you need it? What did the doctor say? And I said, well, they're just over the counter. How many did you take? 2. She said, well, just learn from it. Don't do it again. So I was like, oh. So my mind started clicking. So now that's where the honesty kicks back in. I need to know that I know inside if I'm cheating myself, then I'm cheating others. If I'm honest with myself and I'm giving you the best that I've got. I'm going to open the floor. I do need to remind everybody that you are being taped. If you wish not to be taped, please let me know or Robert know, and we can shut the machine off. Thanks.
I called Dean.
Hi, Dean.
Honesty is very important to me today. I've been trying to get clean since 1991. I've been in numerous treatments since the age of 16. I've actually died from a head-on collision from an accident. But my disease told me that I didn't have a problem. And see, today, the honesty has to come within. I have to be honest to myself. And that's difficult, very difficult. I can't say I got this thing whipped. I have some clean time under my belt this time. I have a really good relationship with my sponsor that shows me love. And I never knew a program that showed me love. I tried to follow other fellowships, and it just didn't work. And I have strength and I have hope today. If an addict called Dean can stay clean, so can you. Because we are worth something today. We're all alike. And I came up here not to get on tape, to hit you in the head with some hope, hopefully. Because we need it. I love you and I'll keep coming back.
Thanks, Dean.
My name's Jeff. I'm an addict.
Hi, Jeff.
Once an addict, always an addict. Once a liar, always a liar. Once a thief, always a thief. When I first heard the word addict, it was negative. You know, the junkie along the side of the street with a needle in his arm. And after coming around NA, I realized that some of these addicts were some of the best people I knew, you know, and that once an addict doesn't mean always an addict. Yeah, we're addicts, but we don't use anymore, you know. And I was a thief and a liar, and I was a real good thief, and I was a pretty good liar. But I don't steal anymore, and I try not to lie anymore. I'm not perfect. But I noticed that when I was out there using, I didn't care, you know. If I wanted something, I would steal it, and I'd lie to you about it. I'd look you dead in the eye and say, "Oh, I didn't do that." You know, you could watch me do it, and I'd tell you that I didn't do it. But I can't do that anymore. I mean, something inside me has changed to where I can't do that anymore. It was like when I got clean, the first thing that I got back was my conscience, you know. they say when you start using, that's the first thing that goes, because you can't live with yourself. If you've got a conscience and you're doing the things you know you're not supposed to be doing, you'd go nuts. So we just disregard our conscience, But my conscience came back, and I started realizing the things that I was doing in my life, and the people that I was hurting, and so I started to make an effort, and it's probably one of the biggest issues I've had to deal with in my recovery is honesty. And I can't be dishonest with myself and expect anybody else to think that I'm an honest person, whether you know the truth or not. If I'm not honest with myself, you're going to sense that I'm a dishonest person, And I've noticed that since I've started working on that issue and making a conscious effort to be more honest, then it's making it easier to be honest, and it's making it harder for me to be dishonest. And it's been a long, long time since I really did anything dishonest. But the addict in me wants everything fast, so I want all these people to trust me again. I haven't stolen anything in over a year. How come you don't trust me anymore? I've changed, But I know inside that I've changed, and I can't worry so much about what they think. I can only show them. We've got a T-shirt at home that says "Show me, don't tell me." So I can't go around telling people, "Oh, I'm honest now, and I don't lie anymore, and I don't steal anymore." The only thing I can do is show them that I'm honest, and show them that that I don't lie anymore. I can still stretch the truth with the best of them, though. And it's made a difference in my life, but not so much outward as it has inward. I feel a whole lot better about Jeff than I have in a long, long time. And one of the things that's different is trying to live my life the way I think it should be, rather than trying to fit everything into the way I think it should be. They talk about people changing the program to fit their lives rather than changing their lives to fit the program, and I know that just trying to do the next right thing keeps me out of situations to where I would be dishonest, or I'd be tempted to be dishonest, staying out of certain situations and the temptations that I know are there, and temptations that I might be susceptible to, has helped me stay honest. It's pretty much all I got on honesty, and I'm really not comfortable talking about it. So I'll pass.
Thanks, Jeff.
Everything I just said was a lie.
Thanks for your honesty.
Hi family, I'm an addict called Derek.
Hi, Derek.
And it works. How it works, it says that one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. 3 of these that are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. I recently heard an addict say, indispensable. What does that mean? And I've been thinking about that. And if you look in a dictionary, depending on what dictionary you're looking at, it'll say words like vital, necessary. You cannot recover without it. So that's kind of where I've been at with my program right now, is thinking about the things that I tell people. I've been telling a lot of people that I'm quitting smoking on or before July 1st. Now, if I smoke a cigarette on the 2nd, an addict that I told that sees me, he's going to say, well, if that's how he's working that program, how's he working his recovery program? How's he working his personal life? How's he working at home or at his job, you know? So, like Rob was saying, we do have to be real careful what we say to other people, the attitude that we say it with, and the action that we follow it up with. I'm Addict Call Derek.
My name is Richard. I'm an addict, and it's a process for me, believe me. There are times it's not even clear to me what do I got to get honest about. So I guess sometimes whether I do it or not is beyond me, you know. I guess honesty, like the man was, I like when you said about indispensable. That's great, because there are times I don't know what indispensable means. I didn't know what approach means at one time. I didn't know how to begin to deal with it, you know. So I guess I'd do it the old self-centered way. A lot of, you know, I'm pretty much going through, I guess, the terrible twos again. And it's, you know, the good part about it is that I'm aware of it. The bad part about it is I'm doing it, you know. And I'm getting a little bit rambunctious, you know. And I'm trying not to become, you know, go that way. I'm trying not to, you know. There are times, in my head, I know what I'm doing, you know what I mean? The other part about it is trying, you know, to recover or abstain or whatever. There is, you know, not every time I could go right to the first step. You know, I struggle with it, you know what I mean? I don't know how to surrender completely to my higher power, you know what I mean? And then I wonder if I got a higher power, you know? So, you know, it's, I know what I'm looking at, you know, I know what I'm dealing with, you know what I mean? You know, and I just know that it's not good for me. It's not too good, Rich, you know what I mean? And it just makes me want more, you know, when I start continuing the process of doing that, you know, lust or this or that, you know, because I'm just a real sick individual, man. I think something's going to fix me, like a woman's going to fix me or whatever like that. And it's really not. It's not going to fix me. We all know that. I'm sure we must have heard it 1,000 times or whatever. And, you know, it's just my personal issues, it's my personal life, it's my personal lifestyle, you know what I mean? That stuff, it's not too, I'm not correcting it too well. I'm not working on it too much, you know. I don't know, it ain't correct, you know what I mean? It's not right, you know what I mean? And I got to work on it to make it right, you know what I mean? I just can't pull out of a bag and say, hey, I got it, because it's not real, you know? But, you know, and that's pretty much what it is. I'm not, like you were saying about being real and upfront. No, I ain't doing that. I know that I'm not doing that. I know it because of the areas of my life, you know, on which I'm, you know, having a hard time in. You know what I mean? And I know in others I ain't doing that either. You know what I mean? And sometimes I don't know what to do about that either. You know what I mean? I don't know. I could judge and make points of views and all that stuff, but does it correct the situation? No. You know. And does it correct my situation of judging? No. So I try to take my moral inventory. Try to get morally what's wrong with me, man. You know, what the hell? Why am I being like this? You know what I mean? Why am I so self-centered? Why am I so insecure? What do I doubt for? You know what I mean? You know, why can't I just be me? Try to be me. Allow me to be me. You know, something like that. I can never get at it. You know what I mean? I kind of analyze still. I still analyze. You know what I mean? I guess I make myself more sicker sometimes along the way than I do making myself serene. You know? So it's a flip-flop, I guess. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I guess just today, I don't know. There's some issues I don't know whether to work on in that. I don't know if I want to deal with them or not. You know what I mean? Don't know if I ain't got a home group, you know what I mean? I got a sponsor, but often, you know, I'm not dealing with him too much. I'm afraid that, I guess, not to have a sponsor, to commit to a sponsorship relationship, you know what I mean? And I never been like this before, you know what I mean? So it kind of hurts revealing it and hearing it from me. And, I don't know, sometimes I'm just not sure. I mean, I don't want to use, I'm not going to use. Well, at least I try not to, you know what I mean? I can't even put all plans on that. But I got to start doing something, man, because I can't linger in this pain, you know what I mean? And this is, you know, this is an ongoing thing that's going on with me. So, I gotta make, I guess, decisions or choices, take risks or whatever like that, and get my head straight. You know, I am hurting from this. You know what I mean? I may not show it. I don't. I'm not gonna walk around, feeling depressed all the time. You know what I mean? I know when I get back home, I gotta make choices. I gotta make decisions. What do I want? You know what I mean? How much am I willing to give? And if I really care. Because sometimes I don't know if I care or not. I think I care and I don't care. You know what I mean? So I'm I don't know, trapped in my head with it. I don't know. The word is I can't even say the word. I don't even know the word. But anyway, that's pretty much probably more than that I'm going through. There's a lot of things I'm going through. I can't get them all at once. When I go through them, that's when I realize it. There's something I went through too. I wasn't sure exactly if it was me, them, or us. You know what I mean? And in my head, I have planned I'll make amends, but I don't know what the hell am I making amends for. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be selfish with that stuff. Other than that, I guess that's about it, and more will be revealed. I guess I got a lot to work on. Thanks for letting me share.
Hi. My name's Mo and I'm an addict. Oh, that was cool. I'm really glad I'm here. I don't know, I've been walking around since I got here yesterday just talking and crying, And I'm real fortunate to be in a place where I can do that and be comfortable with it. I decided to come to this workshop because, I looked at Trustworthy and I was like, well, what does that mean? So that's two words pushed together, trust and worthy. And I decided almost 6 years ago that I was worthy. That's why I came to Narcotics Anonymous. That's why I stayed in Narcotics Anonymous, because I am worthy. I am worthy to have all the things that my higher power says that I'm worthy of, and it has truly blessed me in my life. The trust, and I thought about it, and I was sitting there thinking, and I said, well, I'm the kind of person, I don't really have, trust issues with sharing, like Robert was talking about, because normally, I'm not one of those people that can walk around and you don't see my feelings. I'll wear them. They're on my face. They're in my walk. When I'm not feeling good, people know. I can't say, fine. It don't work for me. It don't work. So, normally when I make a decision that I'm going to share something, it's because it doesn't matter if it comes back. The reason why I'm sharing it is because it makes me healthy. And if it hurts somebody's feelings, the way I shared, when I shared, who I shared it to, I'm not responsible for that. I'm responsible for keeping me healthy. And that's where the trust part comes in. Because there was a point in my life where I couldn't trust myself to do what was healthy for me. It was like, well, yeah, I know the right thing to do, and I know what I want to do, but what should I really do? Should I do what they want me to do? Should I do what makes other people feel good? Should I not worry about my feelings? Should I not take care of me? Let's take care of everybody else in the room, though. I know how to do that. I'm real good. Yeah, I'm real good at that. This program has taught me how to take care of me, how to make myself feel good, how to, they talked about, talking to that inner child, and I had to promise that child, because for so many years that child was beat up, knocked down, abused, and mistreated. And I said, I will promise to take care of you. You know, and this is something that I have to trust myself to do. You know, because I have learned in life, in addiction, in recovery, that I can't always trust other people to do what's best for me. You know, so it's like I have to be there for myself. You know, so I have to trust myself on that aspect that I'm going to take care of them all. You know, and when I can take care of me, being there for somebody else is no problem. You know, I used to think about, you know, when I had friends or, you know, acquaintances, and I think, well, man, what they did hurt my feelings. Why would they do that? I would never treat anybody like that. You know? And I said, well, those things I have to reincorporate in myself. And I say, I wouldn't treat someone like that. So when a person comes to me with something, they came to me with it. Not the fellowship, not my sponsor, not my girlfriends. They came to me. The fact that someone would trust in me, that's a responsibility. That's one of the blessings we get when we come into Narcotics Anonymous, is that other people look to us to entrust in us. You know, that's not something we take lightly, or we shouldn't take lightly, because we take other people's lives in our hands. You know, we don't know what's going to send somebody out there. We don't. And I don't want it to be because I was not trustworthy. You know, let them have another excuse, but they ain't going to be able to use that one. You know, I talk about, you know, honesty. Honesty for me is to be able to talk about relationships in my life, and when they're not good, be able to say that. You know, be able to share my pain with people. Because, I mean, there's a part of me that wants my life to be good and wants things in my life to be, you know, on this even keel. And I can say, yes, well, work is good, school is good, you know, my marriage is excellent. You know, I want to be able to say those things, but if they're not, I'm not going to lie about it either. You know, I've been in relationships with people and they thought that I had no right to talk about my feelings or my pain in a room of Narcotics Anonymous because it had to deal with a relationship I was in with someone else. You know, and I'm like, these are still my feelings. It's still my pain. Why should I hold on to this? I said, this is what I learned here. You're supposed to come and share this. Our secrets keep us sick. I'm not trying to be sick today. You know? I think when I came into this room of Narcotics Anonymous for the second time, you know, and I made that decision that I was worthy, and I was doing this for Mo this time, you know, not because somebody said you needed to, not because my husband said, well, you need to do this because this is, you know, forget that. But because my son was embarrassed, I did it because I was sick and tired of feeling the way I was feeling. So I had to come here. And what you people told me, I listened. You know? They said, get honest. Be open. Be willing. You know? I have to have these things in my life. Because I don't like drama. I used to thrive on it. When you're living the life, you thrive on drama. You know, what's in the mix? Can I season it up a little bit more or something, you know? But today it's okay. I can have a routine and it ain't got to have no drama. None whatsoever. You know? I don't know. You know, I just have to share this program will save your life.
Yeah, get real.
It will save your life. You need to ask yourself, are you worthy? Do you believe you're worthy of having your life saved today? I am worthy. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Mom.
Okay, it's still taping. My name is Beth and I'm an addict. Hi, Beth. And I'm going to stay sick if I don't share. So, I want to call to attention for myself 2 things that I do in this program that keep me really sick. One is that I gossip. And by the time I finish telling you guys this, you probably won't want to talk to me. You'd be like, oh, we don't want to talk to that girl. She steals and she gossips. I've had some problems with it, in my whole life. And I've just come to the point where the more I do it, the more it hurts inside. And it's like, I'm not gossiping badly about people. I just talk about people, and that's not being honest. Because then I look at them in the face, and I'm not being honest with them. I'm not saying, hi, I love you, it's good to see you, keep coming back, and by the way, I told a great story about you last night to my friend. That's not being honest. And it's not holding people's secrets very well. Whether or not, they're really serious, or whether it's like, oh, I saw so-and-so at a meeting, yeah, they looked like they were in a bad place. That's gossip. That to me is gossip, because there's a tradition about that. I'm breaking tradition if I do something like that. And I don't do it every day, but when I do it, I feel really bad. And I just felt with all, with the wonderful lead and with all of the comments, that I just felt like I was being like lifted up here to kind of like come clean. Because like you said, Robert, if you don't do that, forget about it. I also was really moved because I've had a lot of problems with stealing. Clean. It's one thing to say, well, I was using and I needed the money for drugs. What do you say when you're clean, going to meetings 3 times a week, and you're stealing from your job because it's easy, because you can do it, because it's old behavior, And I've shared about it with my home group before, and I got over it. It kind of went into remission. And it's come back. I go to school full time. I have a billion rationalizations for it. I work at a small place. It's almost impossible for me to get caught. I'm like family with these people. Well, I was taught not to steal from my family or anybody else. So by doing that, it's just a sign of disrespect, and it hurts. And the problem with it is that when I go around, I don't tell myself to my face, you awful sick, person, how come you're stealing? I don't do that on a daily basis, because I'm really good at forgetting about what I'm doing wrong. I did that when I was using. I could go on with my life, and it wasn't pressing in my head all the time, what are you doing wrong? Because I would just put it to the side. How I notice it is when I'm not excited about going to meetings, when I'm not interested in looking at people in the eye, for whatever reason. I came here to this convention last year. I came here, and it was the most amazing thing that ever happened to me, and it's because I came here with no expectations. I just came to enjoy myself, and I wound up, finding my higher power, finding a sponsor. It was a great time, and I'm here this time, and I'm not as interested in looking at people and talking to people, and I'm a little shy, and it's because I have self-hatred from not being honest. And what's that doing? Now it's affecting my program. It's affecting my life. I'm not acknowledging it. It's affecting how I think about myself, which I'm not working on. And now it's affecting this wonderful weekend that I always I've made. I want to make it a part of my life, an every year thing. And I just felt from this wonderful workshop that I could maybe kind of like free fall into all of your arms emotionally, so to speak. And if I maybe got this off my shoulders, I can be free from it, work on it, cry about it, and get over it. So I hope you guys will still talk to me, and just keep your wallets away from me. I'll keep coming back.
My turn to jump. I'm Greg, I'm an addict. Repeat after me. Lila. Wo. Wasati. Laka. You're speaking Indian. You just said love is good. Wow. Pretty cool, huh? Misery shared is misery divided. If I come here and I'm miserable, I can look out and I can see all these different people, and I can say, this is what's going on. I'm sharing it. It's divided. I come here with a message of love, and I reach out to all these different people. that love is multiplied. The love is multiplied, you know? We say we want to be open and honest and trustworthy and all these wonderful things, but not everyone you meet is trustworthy. Be careful. Be real careful. Because they're not. But it's not just in Narcotics Anonymous. If I go to my boss and I say, I'm Greg and I'm an addict, bye job. He doesn't need to know that. You know, I need to know that. My sponsor needs to know that. My family needs to know that. But my boss doesn't need to know that. You know, at one point in time, they were going out to a company picnic, you know. They're going to have beer and they're going to have all these other things. I went to the picnic. Do you want, you want a drink? I said no. I didn't say, no, I'm an addict. No, I'm an alcoholic. I just said, no, it's easy. You don't have to be 100% honest to the point where you're going to endanger yourself. Thinking about the fifth tradition, carrying the message to the newcomer. Carry the message, not the mess. Sometimes a little honesty can be a little bit too much, especially for a newcomer. Keep that in mind. That's all I got.
Thank you.
My name is Sharita and I'm a grateful recovery addict. Truly grateful to God to be here clean and serene because it didn't have to be this way, and I'm so grateful that it is. And this is wonderful. It's been a wonderful workshop, and being trustworthy and honest with myself and with others is certainly something that I learned that I'm encouraged to do through working the steps. And it's always coming into effect. You know, I have a job where I am extremely trusted. I have a job that they trust, that when I depart from the facility, I'm doing what I need to do. And I'm telling you, when you get into the process of recovery and you start to live these principles and you start to stand for something else, the things that I used to do, I just don't feel comfortable doing anymore. And so, because I'm always out and about on my job, there would always be times where, I'm on my way to check on a client so I can stop by here and pay my cable bill. No big deal. And it's not a big deal. We flex. You do what you need to do as long as you take care of what you need to do. And so, to me, that was a form of dishonesty because I was not where I was scheduled to be. And I started to feel a little uncomfortable about that. And God knew that I was feeling uncomfortable about that. And I started to include that in my prayers, and trying not to be specific about it, but also telling God that I don't need to learn my lesson by losing my job, but I need some guidance and some encouragement to, do the next right thing totally. Not a little bit, but totally. And so I just got a new car not too long ago. And my car is like jet purple, and any and everybody would know who I am, where I am, when I am in this car. And it was really strange because God, my understanding, is so caring and he's so compassionate and he's very creative. And being in that purple car makes me be where I need to be when I need to be. It's kind of out of paranoia, but I'm certainly where I need to be, and I love my car also. And there are other little things on my job. There's bus tokens. I used to get these tokens. I give them to my clients all the time. No big deal. When my mom catches the bus, and I would just give her the tokens. It's not a big deal. I didn't tiptoe and get them. I went and got them. They saw me got them. I gave her the tokens. And Monday, I went and got some tokens for a guy at work, for a client that I had to give them to, and then I had laid the rest on my desk because I keep some with me because I never know what client I might need to give tokens to. And so I started to reach the tokens to put them in my purse because my mom still catches the bus and I know she could always use some tokens. And immediately I told myself, I didn't say it out loud, but it needs to stop here. And I share all that to say that when my times of being honest and my times of being trustworthy, when those times occurred for me, It does not have to be through bloodshed. It does not have to be because the police is after me. It's just this new way of life that you guys have taught me about. I just get so uncomfortable with being that way. And I learned from a very wonderful sponsor that I had that if I'm doing something dishonest and I'm not feeling uncomfortable about it, something's wrong with that. I remember how it was used, and I remember how it was caught up in the grips, and I don't want to repeat that lifestyle. And so if I don't want to repeat that lifestyle, I have to act and live as if I don't want to repeat that lifestyle. And everything, that old way of life, everything that's dishonest, not cool, inappropriate, all that stuff is that old path. And I do believe that it can lead me back to picking up. I can be walking around here not having a desire to use, working the steps, talking to my sponsor, making my meetings. But if I'm living dishonest, I'm bound to pick up. Because it's that old stuff. It's that thinking that's going to lead me to one day, boom, I think I'm going to check on something. And the next thing I know, my car is there, because we know relapse happens way before we on our way to go pick it up, So Narcotics Anonymous is certainly giving me wonderful experiences in being trustworthy and honest, and even when I don't want to be. And the most recent form of honesty I had was yesterday when we arrived. The event, it's two of us, comes out to $160. And so when I sent the money order, I sent $140, and the lady emailed me and said, you need to pay $20 and blah, 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 no big deal. Well, when we came, the people, they were sitting in for the registration people right quick. And I knew that I owed $20. This guy didn't know that I owed $20. And so I'm going in my purse like, okay, do the right thing. And I was totally motivating myself the whole time, because I know I could have spent $20 here on something else, no problem. And I even justified it momentarily that, well, you're going to spend it the NA way. You don't have to. But you know what? Even that type of deception can lead me back to using it. And I might not go back and use tomorrow, but if it's okay with that, it becomes okay the next time, and then the next time, and next time, and then people be saying, I used to know her, and she's not here this year, wonder where she is. And when we don't see people for a long time and they just kind of disappear, we usually know where they are, So we do grow with love, and we change with recovery, but I have got to be in the process in order to claim that I'm trusting the process. Thanks for letting me share.
Okay, we need to end the workshop. Can we close with a group hug and serenity prayer?
Everybody start praying.
Anybody? We have a moment of silence for suffering inside and outside this room, and for ones that are alive now. Who knows us?
God, grant us serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yes, Lord, today, we come back where we live in the world. What was that? You need
Personal issues.
I like that one.
So,